The Tennessee Titans signed a player that I wanted the Houston Texans to sign, and they signed him for practically nothing. Quandre Diggs, most recently a safety with the Seattle Seahawks, where he showed he has incredible ability to cover downfield, signed a 1-year, $5 million contract to play for Tennessee. He made the announcement on Twitter himself. It's a new age for the media newsbreakers out there. I really feel that this is a missed opportunity for the Texans. It would be one thing if he signed Joe a deal that was worth $10 million a year or something like that. $5 million for 1 year. When you have the questions at safety that you do, you were bad when it came to just keeping things in front of you at the back line of the defense last year. And by the way, that's what the position is all about. It's called safety. So unless Jimmy Ward's healthy for a full season, and unless Jalen Petrie can figure out how to better fit into this defense, I think this is a missed opportunity. And I'm not convinced that either of those two things are going to happen.
With Petrie, too, because it really seems like he's your nickel corner at this point, too.
At the very least, he is going to be playing in the nickel at points this season. Is he the outright guy? I do not know, but it stands to reason, Joe, that just given the lack of depth at cornerback position, that he is a front runner.
Yeah, so if he's there, then you're relying on Kalen Bullock to be your other safety next to Jimmy Ward.
And Bullock did play very well in preseason game number 1, but remember, that's against backups, and he is a third-round pick. He played at USC. He's got size. He's got range, all that stuff. And look, the Texans have shown recently that they are willing to put young players into uncomfortable situations right away. Just take a look at Kamari Lassiter, the second-round pick. He's already your starting corner, but 2 rookies as potential starters in the secondary, especially considering we haven't really seen Kalen Bullock going with the first-team unit at any training camp practice. That is interesting to me, and not in a good way. After that, at safety, if Jalen Petrie is playing nickel a lot, we're talking MJ Stewart. We're talking, I mean, guys, Eric Murray, guys who, are probably best case scenario in the NFL, multi-year special teams, not guys that you want out there as safeties. Not meant to be an indictment, but this was a big problem for them last year. And I almost wish that Quandre Diggs got paid, so this would be taken off of the table for the Texans. Instead, 1 year, $5 million. I mean, I'm sure there are special teamers on this roster who are making as much. I know Robert Woods' contract on the roster, and he's probably not even going to make it to the end of training camp. His number is literally that much. You could dump Robert Woods and sign Quandre Diggs like that.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think this is a huge missed opportunity because I think they need to add another safety. I just don't. It would be a bad decision to go into this year with this as your safety depth. If you're going to move Petrie to nickel, and that's going to be his primary position, then you have to add depth, and not even just depth. You have to have a starter, and there's starters out there. So Diggs was a very good option. Now, I won't lie. I think it's not the worst thing for the Texans that they're starting 2 safeties is what was very poor for Seattle not that long ago, between Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams being the new safeties of the Tennessee Titans. That's very interesting that they're reunited now in Tennessee. But the Texans need to make a move. It's the cornerback and safety is very clearly the biggest issue on the defense, maybe the biggest issue on this team, and you need to address it in some way, whether that's signing a veteran corner or just going all in with your safeties or with your young guys. But Bullock had major tackling problems at USC.
Everyone in USC, to be fair, had major tackling problems. And if the safety is the one that is supposed to get all these guys who are running past your entire defense, there are going to be bad plays from time to time. But you are right. He had some shaky moments with the Trojans. And I feel like at the beginning of the year, where you're not going up against great quarterbacks as much as you are the rest of the year in those first 6 games, maybe Lassiter and Bullock will improve significantly over that 6-week stretch. And you're hoping that the defense that you've got the last week of the year is just going to improve week to week to week. Like that's how a lot of NFL defenses work. Like a guy at the beginning of the year who's not thought to be a very good corner or very good secondary player, enough experience, you're going to feel a little bit differently about that guy. But these were big question marks this offseason, and it is very optimistic to believe that a second-round pick and a third-round pick are going to fix the holes in your secondary, which can be made worse by the next time that Derek Stingley re-aggravates something. Not predicting that that'll happen. I'm hoping this is going to be Stingley's first 17-game season in the NFL, but we haven't seen it yet, and it stands to reason when you have one hamstring injury, you're going to have more.
Yeah, well, even if he doesn't miss a whole game, players miss time, and you have no depth at corner. Also, I mean, I know Okuda said that's part of the reason why he didn't interview with Aaron Wilson this weekend. He said that's part of the reason why he was here. What was the competition that's here? But Okuda and Lassiter is not exactly, a great duo at corner if you have to get it. And even if you go with these young guys, Paul, with Lassiter at corner, if they don't make substantial improvements from week 1 to the Dolphins game, then you are screwed when you play the Dolphins and Lamar and Mahomes in 3 consecutive weeks. Like that's no matter who you have out there, it's going to be super daunting and super challenging. But it's just a lot to ask these young guys to be ready for that.
I'm with you there, but I'm not fretting about it as much because I think by the end of the year, they'll be playing a lot better. They have to. If you have essentially a full season's worth of experience by that stretch, you're going to be as prepared probably as you possibly can be. But you are also operating under the assumption that all those guys are going to improve with the more playing time that they get. Benjamin Albright is a Denver sports radio reporter. He works for KOA Colorado. He is fairly connected when it comes to breaking NFL stories. He was asked about Broncos safety Justin Simmons and said that Simmons has had over a dozen offers. He's just looking for the right situation, that he probably signs this week in the AFC South. I saw some speculating that it could be the Indianapolis Colts. Simmons would make a lot of sense here, and if Diggs is off the board, Diggs was my number 1 safety left, then why not?
I think
Justin Simmons.
I think you have to at this point. I mean, looking at the depth chart for the Indianapolis Colts, it probably makes a lot of sense for them too. But Justin Simmons makes a ton of sense, and now the market's kind of set for you. So if he had all these offers and he didn't like what he was getting, well, if Diggs is getting $5 million, then Simmons is probably getting 1 year, 7 to 10, I would guess. Which you have plenty of money to pay. That at this point, you can, as you said, you can cut Robert Woods to help that cause even more so. So you can address other positions if you feel the need. But we'll see how this preseason game goes. But it would be nice if he's going to sign. It would be really disappointing to see Diggs and Simmons sign in the AFC South and neither of them be with the Houston Texans.